Here are 5 beginner mistakes to avoid when starting Marvel Rivals. The first mistake that new players make often is being a one-trick. The key to being great at Marvel Rivals is adaptability. So knowing how to play at least 1 to 2 characters from each class will elevate your ability to adapt and ensure that you are able to address your team's needs. And just knowing more characters means that if your character gets banned, you have another character that you can play reliably and competently. Another beginner mistake that happens often is staggering. Staggering refers to moving out of position from your team and extending out of the space that your team is currently holding. In Marvel Rivals, the simplest way to understand space is the area that your team freely occupies without having to worry about constant damage. If you think of your team as a giant interconnected blob moving through the map, staggering would be like stretching the blob until it breaks. Staggering is bad in most cases because it weakens your team's ability to engage in team fights, meaning that instead of fighting a 6v6, you end up fighting a 2 or 3v6 and dying over and over because your team hasn't properly regrouped. Another easy mistake to avoid would be not playing the objective. Whether you're in a convoy or a domination map, whether you're attacking or defending, it's very important that you are playing the objective. If you're confused about where point is, in a domination match, it's the area of the map that is highlighted with a ring that either turns red or blue depending on which team has captured it at the moment. And then in a convoy match, it's the slow-moving objective contained by a glowing rectangle. And while it isn't explicitly bad to push forward off of point once your team has captured it, it still leaves it vulnerable to being captured by someone on the other team without you noticing. So make sure you're regularly paying attention to the progress bar at the top of the screen to see who has point or whether or not point is being contested. Another mistake I'd like to mention would be refusing to claim space, and this one tends to happen a lot in teams with a heavy range or poke composition. So if you're a Vanguard player, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're fighting on point on the front line, you're very close to securing picks, but your opponent gets healed right away, and then you end up getting KO'd and you look around and notice that you were fighting on point all alone. This unfortunately is very common and is a direct result of your team refusing to push forward and claim the space that the Vanguard has created. Now, of course, I understand that there's going to be some circumstances like if your backline is getting dived by, say, a Black Panther, but if it is safe to do so, if your Vanguard is pushing up, you should probably push up with them. A lot of characters too have damage drop off after a certain distance, so if you just aren't pushing up, you can quite literally be limiting your own damage output just because you really like a position on the map and want to stay there. So the final mistake that I want to bring up is no communication. And listen, I get that it's not for everybody and everybody might not have a microphone, but in this game there's multiple ways of communicating, including pinging and typing in the game chat. If you see something, say something, and simply refusing to communicate in any meaningful way, especially when you're losing, is a surefire way of ensuring your loss. In that same vein, being a good team player and trying to maintain healthy communication with your team is going to give your team a boost in morale and encourage others to be team players too.